Hey everybody, it is Phil and Mark from Crossover Technologies. How are we all today? Hope we're good. And we are here to talk to you, just to give you a little bit of a recap on 2020, I guess, which has obviously been a slightly different year to normal, a little bit crazy for everybody. And so we just wanted to give you an update of where we are, where the market is, and where hopefully we'll be going for next year as well. So I think we'll start with just a quick summary of where we've been as a company in terms of the year that's gone before. As I said, things have been crazy for everyone. I mean, you know, even with lockdown, etc., we were still seeing cool volumes across the support team, very similar to 2019, in fact. So where we thought there'd be a massive dip, actually, it didn't happen. So we've been really busy on that side of things, but we've also been really busy in the dev side of things, and that's, again, something we want to talk about today as well. But in terms of market, Phil, how's it looking coming to the end of 2020 now?
Well, as you said, it's been a super weird year. I mean, January and February started normal, and then we just fell off a cliff in March. And so even with the ability to get back and play golf in a bit of May, and then really probably it was more really available in June, you know, having lost pretty much the two biggest months, which are April and May at the start of the season, it was bad. So end of May, we were 54% down, but since then we've seen a record bounce back, and there's been a real appetite for golf, and lots of people have been returning to the game, and you know, new players have been playing. And so as it stands at the moment, I think the end of last month we were about just over 13% down, which is you know, not what you want from a year, but considering how much we've lost is bad. And I can say that even with November having had a lockdown, the dent on the numbers year to date are pretty small, because November is a smaller month, so we might be 14% down year to date, but actually, all things considered, November was very different to the first 2 months. So yeah, it's been bad. That's, again, not completely reflective of the whole story, because if you looked at things like golf clubs and balls and things on those lines, some of those categories will end up being up this year, which is insane. But then looking at apparel, that's had a really bad time, just because the way it's sold and what people have been wanting to buy and spend money on. And so that's well down. So, you know, you could look at clubs probably up, apparel's down, and then you kind of meet somewhere in the middle. So mixed year, but all in all, if people have been able to leverage what's going on with the support from the economy, from the government, and then optimize their opportunity when golfers are coming in, people should be in a reasonable position, because the icing on the cake really, I suppose, is that if you look at stock levels, they're actually really low at the moment. So while some things haven't been shifting, retailers generally haven't got stuck with them because orders were cancelled beforehand. And indeed, not only in golf, but in most things now, actually the problems people are suffering from with increased demand is actually getting hold of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out next year.
Yeah, well, yeah. And do you think, so for next year, again, a quick sort of summary, it's a tough one, how you predict, what are we seeing?
Vaccines out there, you've got to, I think this year was a freak. You just got to chalk that down to experience. I think we have to say, wow, golf is amazingly resilient. I mean, as we stood up in front of a business seminar in January and said, you know, if the world falls apart, you know, golf's pretty resilient. Well, actually, what we have proven is we're pretty right, because the world did fall apart, and if we end up being 15% down or 10-15% down a year, that's insane.
Yeah.
However, I think next year, I think you probably just have to forget this year and then take a step back and look at 2019. And I would hope with some new customers out there and some exciting kit and a bit more energy into golf and the benefits, as long as the weather plays ball, we should be looking at 2019 plus some, I would hope. I hope the new players and the extra energy and stuff would deliver a bit more sales. Second half of 2019 was pretty poor, so yeah, there's every chance that we could have a good year next year. So fingers crossed. I'm being positive. 2019 plus maybe 5% or something on those lines overall, hopefully.
Awesome. Okay. And then you said, bear with us as we go, bring it back to Crossover Technologies a little bit here, and just talk about where we've been for the past 12 months, and again, where we're looking forward. So it's been, again, busy year for us, and I guess it all started with the rollout of our latest in Xpos, the latest version of V2, rolling out to everyone, and bringing with it a whole host of new features as well. So not only within the system itself, but also then plugins that we've added on throughout the last 12 months. So just wanted to, again, just recap of where we've been to. I said V2, Makes it much easier now with Xcodes integrated into it in the product side of things. Makes it much easier to use that. We've also made a big difference into the way that even displays on the screen. So the way that your products break down, etc., through the matrix. So if you haven't had a chance to use that yet, again, have another look at that. That is awesome. But also it's allowed us, as I said, to plug in new features as well. So one of the things we wanted to do was to certainly move things into the cloud a lot more. And so we've introduced the hub. So Phil, I don't know if you wanted to run through what we've done with that.
Yeah, sure. Well, if we just take a step back and look at where we've developed, I mean, we had very much a desktop-based solution back in 2000, and as time's gone on and functionality and requirements have changed, we've looked at different options. We actually looked at doing a web-based solution in 2000, but technology wasn't there to service that. We looked again in 2008-9, but there's two issues there. We had the kind of financial turmoil of the kind of recession, and then we also had the realization that still, even though broadband was becoming more widely accepted, down the end of a country lane where most golf clubs are, the technology wasn't there to deliver a web-based Xpos system, because it is very different, something like a booking system or a website which requires intermittent data. So we've always looked to drive technology and provide functionality, and with COVID, we've obviously seen decentralizing of systems and data. But since 2016, we've probably been what I'd consider hybrid cloud, where a lot of the data is backed up in the web and accessible to certain functions. But we've built in increasing levels of functionality into the hub. So we've got starting off with things like help and support, then you've got your dashboard, your data, then you've got your online reporting, and then you've got access to things like you can view your products and do some management functionality for bits and pieces now with products, and then you've got view customers. And so there is a lot of stuff that is available in the cloud and accessible to users who want to use it in the hub, with still understanding that you're going to have your Xpos in your shop. But giving some functionality for people to do stuff remotely. And moving forward, we will drive more functionality, more capability up there, and we will have a newer version in a year or two's time, where we have purely an online web based Xpos as an option for people to use, which will deliver more flexibility and functionality.
Yeah, awesome. And so exciting plans for the future. And I said, there's probably tons of stuff that you guys may be not using yet. So obviously let us know. So it's things like the new voucher system. So a brand new vouchers and competition module, which plugs into V2, which allows you to manage vouchers much more simply through both Xpos and now, as Phil was saying, up in the hub. Things like, just being able to sell multiple vouchers through the sales screen rather than having to go to a different screen now, but also, as I said, managing it centrally on the hub so that you can control what's going on. And I think one of the biggest features of that as well was that ability then to manage those competition payments through one screen. And again, all done online, not having to do it through Xpos. You can do it anywhere in the world. And you can just simply say, right, these 5 people have all won £10, and instantly they get their winnings on there. So things like that have been introduced this year. It's all part of this whole rollout of V2 and rollout of moving everybody up into the cloud over the next, as I said, 12, 24 months, as Phil was saying.
Yeah, well, putting the functionality that definitely needs to be there. I mean, I think the other thing that you touched on is you talked about Xcodes and you talked about, the new product matrix. I mean, I think people need to understand that we're on a journey with this, and where we are with Xcodes now and where we want to get to are two different places. But the whole thing about Xcodes is, by having a common language and speaking the same language as the brands and the groups and everyone, talking the same language, and becoming machine readable, so people don't have to type stuff in. They can just start off with a barcode scan is important. And by making it machine readable and a common language, when we get to a position sending orders and receiving orders and other functionality that we've got in the pipeline, for instance the Caddy app and things, you can't achieve that without the common product kind of database that Xcodes delivers. So it's a bigger picture than just what you can do now to put a ball in. It's what extra functionality you'll be able to drive and deliver in the future, in terms of communicating with your customers and taking orders and things on those lines.
Exactly, and I think the perfect example of that is our new, so the old Xapp app has now been replaced with the Xpos app, which again adds a ton of functionality into it. But all based on Xcode. So now box comes through the door, I can just turn my phone on, scan it with my camera phone, and that's it. Product's created. It's put in your Xpos system. You can obviously adjust the pricing as you need, but fundamentally you don't need to do anything else. There's no typing or anything like that. You just scan and it's in your system with the correct amount of stock. So that's a huge leap from where we were, even just a couple of years ago. So, and that's all fundamentally comes down to having the backbone of Xcodes there to unify that data. So
yeah,
it is so powerful. Awesome. Okay, so a lot of tons of stuff going out there, and I know some of these things you may be going, I didn't know they did that. And obviously it's been a bit of a crazy year, so we will put more marketing out there to help you, guide you to that. But maybe one of the best things you can do is actually check out two things. Either if you are on the hub, have a look at the Knowledge Center. There's a lot of training videos up there that will guide you to all the stuff we've been talking about today. But if you don't have that, then at least start with the YouTube channel, our crossover YouTube channel. Again, we'll put the links in this so that you can go there. And again, same videos there. Check it out, have a look at, see what all the stuff that maybe you haven't had a chance to have a go at. And as I said, ultimately, it's going to make your life easier because more and more of it you'll be able to do on your phone. You don't have to be stuck in front of the till to access those details.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thanks, Phil, and I hope that gave you a bit of an insight into where we've been for the last 12 months, and as I said, where we're going for the next 12, 24. And
no worries. Well, fingers crossed you have a good season, and to all our customers out there, we appreciate your business.
Yeah.
And it has been a hard year. There's, it's been tough for everyone, but we'll all get through this and onwards and upwards, hopefully to a strong season next year.
Most definitely. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.